wherever you are, take a breath, have a seat, have a drink, water, whatever you've got, and enjoy it. You are in exactly the right place. I sat down and recorded this for you. If you are a person who has wanted to create things, if you're a person that's wanted to connect with anybody in this life, whether it's your family, your friends, your intimate relationships, your work relationships, just whatever. If you are a person that wants to inspire people and just be a good example and an inspiration for your friends, your family, your community, you're in the right place. I'm Brandyn Buchanan, and I've been saying for the last 10 years, for like 15 years. So for the last 15 years, I've helped small businesses, I've helped churches, I've helped faith leaders, I've helped friends and family members just get better at keeping in touch with the people around them, and whether that's for personal reasons, whether that's for work, whether that's for just like being more alive and present in your community. This is stuff that I've just been doing for both my personal and my professional life. And whenever somebody makes a big promise, and to me, being in better touch with your friends and your family it's important for your business community, wherever you're at. Whenever you're doing something important in this life, you're doing it because it actually means something to you on a personal level. So I'm here in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Great story of just the friends and family and connections that I've made in this city. But as I got here and I started this show, I'm going to stand here for a little bit, is, hey, Brandyn. And people said, really? People just talk to you that much? Yeah. And it's hard for me to even explain why without talking about the people that are responsible for me even being here, which is just my own family. And it goes back a long time because my grandfather was a mechanic for the Tuskegee Airmen and made so many sacrifices during World War II, onwards into Korea to, have a family, start a family, build a family with my grandmother, who was a pillar of her own community, one of the first free black farmers in the state of Florida, and built a real community there in the great city of Lloyd, Florida, and moved to the city of Atlanta to raise the family in the days after the war. And after the war, we'd had 5 kids in that part of the family. And my grandfather said, hey, what about one more? And that one more was my mom. And even though my grandfather was a great hero and built the family that we've got today in a lot of ways, my mom was never able to meet my granddad. He passed away the same way he lived, as a real hero in this world. He saved 2 of my uncles who were horse playing around and drowned almost. And my grandfather dived into the lake, and he rescued 2 of my uncles, and he passed away in the attempt. And my grandmother had 6 children. My mother was the youngest one, and she raised them all with great courage, faith, and dedication. And my mom also lived a great life as an artist, a creator. She was the youngest of 6 kids, and 5 of them knew dad, and 1 of them didn't. Had a whole different life and social relationship. So she kind of had to sit and think about like what she was going to be and what she was going to make. And my mom became an artist. And hi, Mom, if you're watching this. She became an artist, an instructor, and she has been retired for a few years now. But definitely an inspiration for my life, and somebody who, because her older siblings were so disconnected and it lived such a different life, she really made it a point to connect with her community and the people around her. My mom had a big age gap with the siblings, and she met a guy, my dad. And my dad, he was a union pilot, and if he were to describe himself, union might be the first word out of his mouth. He was just a guy who really believed in just ethics and doing the right thing. It's the principles in life guided him to across the country to Black Atlanta during a time when, man, I don't even want to talk to y'all about Atlanta during the 80s. That can be a different episode. But all of that is to say, when I talk about my life, it is that community connection, that art, culture, and creativity, mixed with a responsibility to be somebody that helps the people around you. When somebody asks you a question, do you have a good answer? When somebody needs help, do you know how to give it or how to find it or how to find somebody who knows it? One or the other, you know? And just to be a vital connection in the lives of the people around you. So now, we've only known each other for a couple of minutes, right? But hopefully when I talk about why I do this stuff, you now have a whole backstory as to where that comes from and why it's important to me. But I promise you that your time watching this will not be, my backstory is a fun backstory that's got a lot of triumph, a lot of adventure, and a lot of great conversations. And as for me, I started in creative writing. That was what I'd started in and wanted to do and did. Now, welcome back to Hey Brandyn. I get asked a lot of questions during my work. Hold on. Hey, welcome back to Hey Brandyn. I get asked a lot of questions while I'm out in Atlanta, and it's not because I'm like a super genius or a guru, although I like to think that I've learned from a ton of very smart people. It's just because I've built a life that gives me a lot of extra time for people to ask me questions. And the questions that I get asked are just the standard basic questions about relationships, about friendships, about work, life, and money. And so people ask me about quitting their job. For me as a person, I built my life around remote work before really it became a huge thing. I do live and work in Atlanta, but Atlanta is built a little different from Albuquerque. It is a big, sprawling city, and Albuquerque kind of has sprawl, but trust me, it ain't the same. People go from the distance of Albuquerque to Valencia County is a tremendous drive, but actually in Atlanta, people are driving like that to work just all the time. And because of that, I was a little bit isolated from the working market. I'd have to do a lot of commuting, even though I was in Atlanta, to just get to a traditional job. And so I found that I was really able to have a bigger competitive advantage in emailing or calling. And so this ended up with me getting hired all around the country. And when I started getting into online marketing, my first big partner was a South African guy, a teacher by the name of Bertus Engelbrecht. He was a great school teacher, and he'd gotten into writing and selling books. For me, I'd wanted to do what he did because he had a mailing list, and I liked the books and stuff that he was writing. And for me being in Atlanta and being a little bit removed from everything that was going on, from downtown, the job scene, the hiring scene, I started emailing this guy who's across the world. And what I do to impress this guy, here's a big life lesson. Always just go, some people say go the extra mile. Walk the extra mile. Go way, if you really want to make a connection with a person and they really don't know you from Adam, really, and if you really want to nail it, knock their socks off. And I can give you a good example of what I mean here. So when I went out to work for this guy, I know he's a book author, right? So I wrote a book, kind of not super long. Let's say the book's 50 pages, 50 or 60 pages. It's just a small, whatever. I do the graphic art for it. I do the website for it. I do pages to download. I also write emails, materials for networking the book once it's finished, for like promotional partners. And then I present it to this guy as a complete package. And I tell him, I really love your work and I want to do the same thing you're doing. I'd love to partner with you. And I built a product that's pretty similar to what you make. And when I say similar, I'm from A-Town. When I say similar, I mean better, and I'm being polite. So I blew this guy away right away. And he hired me right away. And we started selling these books and stuff. Built a mailing list, made lots of connections, and just gone onwards and upwards from there. Different like jobs that were remote. So somebody that's friends with him sees it and says, hey, I want you to write a book for me. Okay, now I'm a ghostwriter. And then another guy that's on that same forum says, hey, I'm actually going to be selling video classes. Can you do that? Now, I'm from like the Teddy Roosevelt school of stick-to-itiveness. If somebody asks you whether you can do something, especially because at this time I was like in my 20s, somebody asks you if you can do something, you just say, yeah. Then you go figure it out. Now, for video making, it wasn't too hard. You know, I got a little software, I got a good camera, and I got technical skills. I know how to do all this stuff. So I got to work with this guy. I started making videos. And this guy wasn't in South Africa. He was in Israel. So I find myself working with entrepreneurs in South Africa, in Israel. Right after I leave that guy, another guy's like, heard you were a great ghostwriter. I've got a company that just does that. So now I'm working in the Philippines. And after that, I'm working for a guy in North Carolina. Then I'm working for a guy in England. And all these guys have just wonderful stories. You know, they're all life coaches or working to inspire somebody. I find that I have a lot of freedom. I got a lot of positives. Now, there's negatives in being a freelancer. And I'll definitely tell you those in real detail. There's just stuff that you've got to pole vault over in terms of your personality and your connections. But I had a lot of freedom. And a lot of the things that people talk to me about that were in my own city of Atlanta, and you're probably dealing with this too, wherever you are, is that the situation at work sucks more and more. You know, you get stuck in a position and you feel so grateful when they let you in the door that first time. But every job doesn't feel good. Every job don't pay well. Every job don't treat you with respect. And when you quit, you can kind of feel bad. What's my next step? And what does it mean for me? You know, maybe I just didn't do a good job. The number one thing I really want to get to you is that just in life, whether you are not in the job market or you're in the job market or you're at a job or you're freelancing, and I've been in all those situations, your job is not a life sentence, you know, and at any time you can just go and start a new one. And you've got to really think about yourself as the person that is guaranteed to show up for you. Technology is changing back and forth, and your ability to like communicate with people as one single person is on a whole different level now than what it was like 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It is just totally different. And you as a person have got to start thinking about, what am I as a business if my job lets me go? These people who worked for Amazon during the Learn to Code days, these people who worked for Microsoft, these people who worked for Google, Meta. I mean, I'm just naming the biggest companies, right? What happens to, you know, you see it in the news, 7,000 people laid off. And then you see 5 other things in the news and you move on. Stick out a situation that you don't like. And people come and ask me this all the time because they're complaining about their managers being a jerk to them. Their hours are not getting good. Their wages are falling down. And in so many more places of their life, they're having less and less control. And this decision on whether or not to quit, it's a big major decision. And hey, you've been told, hey, always hang in, stand tough, never give up. But what if that's holding you back? Think about your job as not just the thing that sustains your dreams. Ultimately, you are the thing that sustains your dreams. And the money comes and goes and it's a resource. But your work represents your time and it represents your future and it represents something that you should take pride in. I myself, as a person who has worked for myself a lot, I've worked for other people a lot, I've had jobs that went great, and I can tell you like incredible success stories. And I've also had jobs that were flops. I've had jobs that just didn't happen and were just all hype, and you get hype, 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 and then nothing happens. I definitely understand the temptation to quit. And whether you are working at a job or you're working for yourself or you're not working at all, you're always going to have the thing in the back of your head, is now the time to quit? Because people stick in it because, number one, quitting feels like losing. It's like losing's weird cousin. There's stigma. Who wants to be guy without a job? Now, what's kind of funny is any stigma that you're really afraid of in life, you end up like building your life around a fear of the stigma. And when a stigma becomes like really popular and pervasive, then you start like building your personality around the stigma. You can get so scared of being unemployed that you become the guy that's just always eating it at your job. But choosing the right time to quit frees you up to chase real opportunities. Have you ever heard that phrase, like, the only way out is through? And what it means, it just means sometimes you're in a situation that sucks so much that the only way to remove the situation is not to backpedal. You actually, can't, you're only going to repeat the situation that got you in the ditch to begin with. And so, what's this mean? It means sometimes the door you fear to open is the one where all the stuff you want is right behind it. Quitting at the right time frees you up to do something else. It's important to have your energy free to chase the right opportunities at the right time. It's about knowing when and where to cut your losses and move on. So, really, what I've described to you here is like a sort of magic. It's like lick your finger, put your finger in the air, trust in yourself, trust in destiny, and follow the process. And I want to give you like a more objective way to think about that kind of situation. Because, well, it don't always work out. Sometimes you think you're quitting for a good reason and it turns out it sucks. And even though I'd say like 90% of the time that I talk to somebody and they're just complaining nonstop about their job, maybe it's just easy to say, hey, if you don't like this situation, don't be in it, But once in a while, somebody regrets making that change. And it turns out that they liked the stability of their job more than they wanted, or that switching lanes was harder than they anticipated, or just whatever. There are books that talk about this. Seth Godin wrote a book called The Dip. Every venture that you start, whether you are writing a book, I talked about writing books, whether you are making a video, I talked about making videos, whether you're sending a bunch of emails or throwing a party, whether you're meeting relatives or family, there's going to be some bulk process of labor. And there are tools that will kind of evaporate this labor like an egg cracked on a hot slab of concrete. And I'll tell you, there are tools, ideas, and resources that will actually crack the amount of labor that you've got to do. And it will evaporate like a hot egg put on the concrete. But you're still going to have to work no matter what. A career dip is temporary. It's hard, but there's some light at the end. I talked about my dad being a union guy, and the idea that you've just got to eat a little poop to get to the plate. You got to get. I talked about my dad at the beginning of this show, and I described him as a union guy. And the best way to think about it is, in labor, you've got to get through a little poo-poo to get to the platter, if you know what I mean. You're not going to go right into a glamorous job. You're going to be an apprentice. You're going to be learning. You're going to be on your feet. It's kind of a dip in your career, especially if you're leaving a stable job or a freelance job to go work at the electricians union. You're going to be an apprentice electrician for a few years. But there's light at the end. There's a community at the end. There's growing at the end. There's a standardized set of skills that you're going to learn. Sucks now, yeah, sure, but it's something that's going to pay off later. Maybe your job is in a similar situation. Maybe you've got a job where there's a culture of, if you stick it out long enough, the thing is at the end of the rainbow. I got friends that work in the finance industry, and the rules of working in finance ain't even that much different from the rules of being an electrician. But being a winner is being able to spot the difference. Maybe the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow ain't the kind of rainbow that you're looking at. We talked about, hey, you got to get through a little poo-poo to get the platter. What if you don't like Chinese food? You had all that poo-poo, they bring out the platter, and you're like, wait, actually, this isn't what I wanted at all. You've got to know when to push through and when to bail. And how do you spot that difference? For me, the life that you're after is the life that you're always living. Now, I might have a different set of experiences in life than you at home watching this. I look for progress in my life, even if it's slow. Are you learning? Are there opportunities? Is the life that you're after like emerging for you day to day? Are you like feeling it like actualize? And if you're an apprentice electrician, it's some other guy telling you, hey, you're doing a good job or a good review. If you're a finance person, it's closing that deal. Honestly, that means more than anything your boss tells you. If you're doing what I'm doing, you're building a mailing list, you're meeting an author, you're getting a good review, you're selling a product or service, you're making a little money. How do you tell the difference? It's just finding that progress. And if you're in a rut, every day feels like the same, and it's a day that you don't like living, just quit. But if you're feeling a little light at the end of the rainbow, and you feel a little encouragement from your community and the people around you, maybe your mom is right. Maybe your aunt is right. Maybe your sister's right. And you should stand firm in what you're doing. Don't confuse comfort with success. The dip is uncomfortable. It challenges you. But the hard parts of your job often make you better. So don't quit a job just because you don't like the hard parts. Quit a job because it doesn't identify with your life. You're in a tough spot. Your job sucks. But quitting is not always the answer. Sometimes you've got to just grit your teeth. Sometimes you've got to grit your teeth, get through it, and power through. And it's when you're learning valuable skills. Is your job actually teaching you something that you're using in your life? Are people like going, hey, you're cool? And you go, hey, I learned that at my job. If so, hey, keep getting the skills. Is there room to grow? Hey, is there a path upward? Is there a promotion coming my way? Am I going to be the lead dog, or am I the back dog and the view's never going to change? If there's an opportunity to get rewarded for patience, take what's good in every day and get there. Does this align with your big picture? I personally have worked jobs that sucked because I needed the skill. Like I knew that one day I was going to be here talking to you with this background on, with this in front of me, and I needed that experience to give you a vital message. You probably have your own life purpose. And in, I don't know, 5 years, 10 years, you've got a vision of where you are right now, and you're going to be there. well, just stay. If you're on the edge of a breakthrough, maybe you're on the verge of a big event happening, in that case, don't quit. The last thing you think when you go to sleep is, I'm almost there. And quitting is really a nagging thought. It's a thought in the darkness. It's a thought that when the day is really hard, you say, damn, time to quit. You shouldn't quit. Also, hey, think about your industry. Maybe everybody around you is going to be somewhere else in 5 or 10 years, and they're all hyped. They're like, hey, we're here and we're in the rush, and this is our opportunity. For me, I've had opportunities where I say, hey, I'm going to stick in this industry because the next person I meet might be the person that I need to meet. And maybe that's in the film industry. I can definitely tell you, as a person coming from Atlanta to Albuquerque, connections in the film industry have been great. I talk about anywhere where there's a camera in this city, people are excited to talk about it. They're excited to share what they're, seeing and going through. And that's great. Jobs have ups and downs. So even though I encourage people to quit their job and they'll have more fun, I don't want to say blanket in every situation that you should quit, because I ain't quit in every situation. I ain't no quitter. I ain't hear no bell. And sometimes you've got to do that. Buckle down and push through. If you see potential that goes beyond the struggle that you're in right now, stick with it. And your future self might really thank you. But maybe you're stuck and you're in a job that really sucks, and it's time for you to get the heck out of there. And there are signs that you're in a dead-end job, and you're talking to people about your dead-end job, and you're like, is this a dead-end job? Yeah. If you're not growing in the job, if your boss is getting more and more out of it and they're on a rocket ship to a better life, and everybody around you is living the life if everybody around you is living the life that they want except for you, you're probably not in the right place. If you're doing the same crap you did a whole year ago, you're probably not in the right place. If you have a good idea and they're like, it's not the right time, you're not the right guy, your ideas are getting shot down. Your creative mind is not being actualized in this job. Time to go. Maybe you start complaining all the time. Maybe you start grumbling, growling, complaining. Oh, I hate Monday. Oh, I hate Tuesday. Oh, I hate Wednesday. Suddenly you're just hating most of the week. Time to quit. Get out of there. I don't because really, you got to think about your own energy. Think about your own relationships. You want your wife to know you as the guy that's unhappy all the time. You want your husband to think of you as a person that doesn't feel fulfilled in their own life. No, your friends. You don't want your friend group. Here's old Jim. Jim works at the post office and hates it. Hey, Jim. Oh, I hate my job. I promise you, people would rather talk to an unemployed person with a dream than a person that, oh, what's going on? Oh, I'm miserable. And what's behind the rabbit hole there? You're probably miserable to do something that you probably don't even really want to do. Skills are getting rusty. Man, it's always a great time to quit. If your job is not keeping you up to date with your peers, opportunities are going and flying you by, and your boss is not getting with it. Time for you to not get with it. Anytime your company is not going somewhere and you're going down with it, start thinking about ways to leave as a freelancer or as an independent, or just find something else. Because staying put costs you, and it costs you big time every day. Every day you waste in a go nowhere job is a day that you're not going somewhere else and killing it and crushing it and getting paid more. And I can tell you, I can literally count 4 or 5 times in my life that I've quit a job and gotten a better one in 45 days or less. And if I give myself a little more time, I could give you I need both hands to count. And sometimes a job, it just ends, of course. But either way, you want to recognize when it's time to jump ship. Because honestly, more than, the day-to-day, who's going to get my paycheck when it comes out, Oh, is the government going to be disappointed in me? Are my friends and family not going to? Is my bill collect? Whatever. You got a future self. Now, the other places that you spend money ain't going to like it if the tap gets even slowed down for even a minute. That's just a true fact. But also, they're only going to know it so well. Your future self is locked in there with you. So you've really got to make your move, and you've got to think about that future self, because money, maybe you'll be held accountable, but you and your own body and your one life, your one ticket through this life, there's no hiding. There's no running. You are going to have to answer to yourself no matter what. And when people think about being depressed, man, feeling bad about the state of their life, can I really tell you something? Insecurity is at the heart of so much when it comes to people sticking at a job that's not good for them, because they're afraid to be labeled as a job hopper, or they're afraid to think that they weren't good enough to stick inside of a job. Maybe this sounds a little bit corny, but I want you to really understand that, are you watching this? You've really got to understand that you deserve to be alive. Now, I'm not saying that in a hippie way. Everyone deserves to be alive, although, yeah, that's true. But if you've been wandering through your life and you're this whole world runs off merit, it runs off being good at stuff, and what am I good at? You were actually born. Do you know the mechanics of being born? There are the sperms, there's the egg, there's a big race that goes on, and there are 400 million other competitors. Infinitesimal chance. Only one winner. Infinitesimal chance. Have y'all seen the Hunger Games? Have y'all seen any of these game shows? Have you played the lottery lately? The odds are pretty tough. The odds of you being born and being in this world are pretty small. And the fact that you made it is actually a demonstration of merit. You actually did win a competition to be here. A brutal competition with very high odds. You don't remember it, but who cares? That big story that I told you about how I got here and alive and got access to this legacy of being in my own family. I actually got here by beating someone else to be here, and you actually did too. It's something that you should think about is oh, I'm not good enough. No, you've got some base level of, you won some base level competition in the ruthless meritocracy that lurks in the most poisoned part of your life. All right, you did it. You're fine. When you're ready to quit, you're ready to jump ship, you've had enough, how fast should you do it? Some people give their 2 weeks notice, but I would tell you, plan your exit like a pro. Check your bank account. Can you survive without a paycheck for a few months? For me, a lot of the time the answer was yes. But if the answer for you is, I'm going to hit the skids right away. Number one, maybe you need to just be okay with hitting the skids. And I would say, look at your expenses, pull out your budget. And I do, once a month. It's just part of being an adult. And it's the same way as when you look at your body, let's say you want to lose weight. You start calories in, calories out. You start keeping track of what you're eating. You do the same thing with your budget. What's my diet? What am I eating? And a lot of the time it's stuff that you're not paying that much attention to. But look at those little things across the board. And really just your budget. Just take it and look at it and look for things that you can cut. Now, number two, always be networking. When I started this show and you were connect, create, inspire people, how can I inspire people when I look for a job? Oh yeah, the time you're looking for a job is the number one time to create, connect, and inspire. Write down your resume and use your voice. Take a voice recorder, or your cell phone might have a voice notes app. Start talking about your job and be really positive. Act like your own agent and just start saying, hey, job one, this job that I'm on right now, and just start hyping yourself up. And do that for every job you've ever done. And you're actually going to be really surprised at how triumphant your work life is. Hype yourself up. And that's your networking. Next, who's in your target industry? Where do you want to work? Start saying hello to them. Start following on Instagram, following on LinkedIn. Get in those inboxes. Are there events? Start going. Hey, does your job watch you like a hawk and you're like, how do I get out of here? Start joining online communities. And basically the whole idea here is casually start planting the seeds for wherever you're going to go next. And while you are employed, look at your options. Can you take on a side gig that's kind of relating to what you do or what you want to do? Hey, take one. Can you learn a new skill? Now, typically, I think it's a bad idea to learn new skills, and I'll probably save that for next episode. You probably know everything you need to know to get a job anywhere. Make a portfolio. You've already talked to yourself about your job for a while. Start writing down the best parts. Is your portfolio pictures? Is it words? Is it text? Is it whatever it is? Do it and build a website. I use WordPress and the Avada theme, and it's just great. You can see my portfolio. You can subscribe to a mailing list. You can tell me about your interests. There's like a survey there. And by the way, like I do this show. You go to my website and you tell me what kind of stuff you want me to talk about. I have a show called Hey Brandyn. I start answering those topics, right? I also make a list in entrepreneurship. And this is important. Like if you're going to be working for yourself, make a list of 100 people who could hire you. I use a tool called Airtable, and I can do all kinds of magic with it once it's in there. But you could use it on Google Sheets. You could just write it on a napkin. Start writing down people who can hire you, or you want to hire you, or you want to know them, or you want them to know you. Just be organized. And the next step of this, and this is another thing that might be a whole nother episode, start writing and centralizing your correspondence, like your job hunting emails. Start centralizing them and filing them together. And then soon you've got follow-ups that are all in the same place together. Soon you've got like notes and emails. Suddenly you've got a resume and portfolio. And this is all stuff that you can do on your toilet. Like maybe you wouldn't make your website on your toilet unless you're real baller level. But otherwise, like hyping yourself up about the stuff you've done at work, making a list of the people who could hire you, saying hello to those people, making a follow-up message or two. And they don't all have to be people that could hire you. They could be like a degree or two removed from hiring you. They could just be people in the industry, and you just need to get your face seen. Start getting your face seen. And if you're scared to quit, well, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about how to overcome that fear. And I'm going to do it for you right now. A lot of people want to quit their job. A lot of people feel dread when they quit A lot of people want to quit their job. A lot of people feel a sense of dread when they go to work. But it doesn't even compare to how bad it feels to think about not having one. Being afraid keeps people stuck in a lot of dead-end jobs. And a lot of dead-end jobs count on that fear to reduce their turnover. But for you that's watching this, finding a new opportunity can be a path to success. There is life at the end of the rainbow. I've talked to so many people in my own hometown who were so stressed out about where they were going to land, what's going to happen with their dog, job, mom, grandma, family, apartment, all this stuff, home, mortgage. But so many of them, in fact, basically all of them ended up okay. So number one, the thing that I can tell you from this end of the camera and the pipe to that end of the pipe is to not label yourself and to not call yourself a quitter, say you're giving up. Bro, people at the top of the food chain quit all the time And you know what they say? Pivoting. Have you heard the phrase pivot to video? Every social media site, they started to be in text like Facebook. Now you go on to Facebook, it's all video. The corporates, they say, hey, we're quitting text. You go on the stock market, you read the news, they say, hey, we're starting a new endeavor. What is that except a group of people saying, should we quit? Yeah. You need to be the CEO of your own table and go, hey, staying put has an opportunity cost. Be a shareholder in your own life, and if you are worried about disappointing anybody, please let me remind you of what I said earlier. You have got to be the judge, because at the end of the day, you can run around here and you can impress everybody in the world. You can spend your best time and your best energy getting stuck in what one of my mentors called goop. And it's sticky and it's hot and it sucks, and it's the good opinion of other people. Wanting other people to like and respect you will screw you over so much in this world. You really have to think about yourself in the future and sitting down with that future self, and that future self holding you accountable for the life that they are in. It really changes you. So if you doubt yourself, just stop, because you've got more to it than you think. New challenges build new skills, and more than anything else, whether you're on a job or you're off a job, uncertainty is going to hit you. Change can be scary, but staying put can be scary too. Your dreams are out there. You've got the skills, you've got the passion, you've got the drive, and you need to use them. More than anything, I don't want you to only think about like the situation of you and your job as a situation about yourself. Thinking about yourself can be a trap. And it's funny from a guy who named a show after himself. But your ultimate situation is going to come from you. You're going to be the person standing there. So take the risks. Trust your gut, and start by talking about yourself. It's probably the best and most important thing that you can do. Talk to yourself about who you are and what you've done in the past. Hype yourself up. If you are thinking about quitting your job right now, probably the number one thing that you can do is take out your phone right now and talk about everything good that you've done on that job. And hype yourself up. Yeah, I can do this. Yeah, I can do that. Yeah, I did this. And hopefully you've hyped yourself in such a way that you're like, yeah, I'm excited about what to do next. And even if not, then hopefully you've got some new sense of gratitude for yourself and what you can accomplish. Because, like I said, that fear of the unknown, that inability to do things, it's number one. If you're a person that's in community organizing, or if you're in business, or you're in podcasting, or if you're looking to improve your friends, relatives, family life, I've heard over and over people complain and talk about being stuck in a rut, feeling like they're at low capacity, like they're depressed, issue after issue after issue. And they're overwhelmed with other people's trauma. They're overwhelmed with soap operas that crash into their life all the time, and it feels just unavoidable. So if you've only got a few minutes, I've done hundreds of podcast episodes. I've done hundreds of live streams. I've worked for 15 years in personal development, working with best-selling authors, working with producers, working with people who've made very big businesses out of teaching people Amazon publishing, writing emails, personal growth, development, networking. I want to share with you a few shifts that you can make so that when you feel patterns in your life, imposter syndrome, lack of clarity, not knowing your value, you feel exhausted, you feel like you're in a rut, here are a few quick things that you can think about that will work. Not 99% of the time, not most days, but like gravity without ever taking a night off. Number one, stop looking for new information and study yourself. Right now, everything a person wants to share with you online is part of the education industry. It's the endpoint of almost every useful thing that you get. Twitch, TikTok, gateways to long-form online information. And education is an industry just like any other. You think one more software, one more workshop, and that will make me qualified to live the life I want. But I've worked in advertising for years, and one product can cost $1. One product can cost 15, one can cost 100, and they're the same. If there's too much you can do and it's overwhelming and confusing, people just stop. And it can make you mad at even the concept of learning new things. You buy knowledge up the butt, and nothing happens. You buy these books and classes and training for your professional life, and it's, my mentor, Peter Sage, uses this phrase, DFL, data for later. You're going to use it someday, but you don't know when. You know, we roast people who buy timeshares. You know, at least my auntie, I roast her for buying a timeshare. But if you've spent money on a book or a seminar and you don't do anything about it, you're basically like a person that bought a timeshare. Knowledge can't teach you behavior. Behavior is your habits. Habits come from up in here, the way you think. And if you are not thinking about the way you think, nothing changes. I want you to break free of mental blocks. Most people put off things that are important. Have you ever put off something important that you had to do? You knew you had to do it, and then afterwards you think, oh man, I forgot to do it. Most people have their brains on the gas, their hands are moving, and they've got another foot that's on the brake. And that brake usually shows up when there's cash involved. And this is just how your brain works. Whenever you have thoughts, you have a thing you're putting off, you're going to be able to recognize this. And remember, I talked to you about it. You know your neocortex? This is the part of your brain that thinks critically, and your ability to think critically changes as you get older. As you get older and you stop being a kid, you start becoming an adult, you gain a sense of self-control. That is really a physical thing that happens inside your brain. It is your ability to concentrate. And when people have this kind of self-control, they can get in the zone when they're working. You have better learning, focus, creativity. Your neocortex, when you're in the zone, is operating at a frequency known as beta frequency. It is 12 to 18 cycles per second. It is when your brain is concentrating. Your ability to do that does not mature in your brain until you're 7. Then you experience some puberty inside your brain, and your brain starts to operate in a different state, and you're better at concentrating. Now, you know when you dream, you're in a childlike state. You accept unrealistic information. When you're a kid, you're in that state of theta, not beta, all the time. It's why you can imagine and take in new information easily when you're a kid, but you can concentrate more when you're an adult, but your imagination doesn't work the same. Being able, when you're an adult, to tune that in order to be more creative or be able to concentrate more is actually a big deal. It's your habits. Your habits control that. So the third shift is to embrace change with your whole being. It's very easy for you as an individual to get caught up in trying to make a change in your life. But what you'll actually find is you're one organism. Your body adapts to its environment. And your environment is not just where you go, it's who you're around. You know, if you wake up in the morning and you go to McDonald's and your friends are there and they're eating McDonald's, you're having some too. If your friends are in the gym, you're doing that. Your brain just responds to the stimuli that comes from the people around you. So your next shift, given that, should be to actively work on yourself. When you know what that is, you'll have a tool that you can use to keep yourself out of fear, out of anxiety, out of depression. And it's the group effect. It's telling your friends what you're doing and then doing it. The fastest way to break that inertia. A human being's a little like a bike. If you are not going towards a goal with purpose, momentum, direction, most people just lose their balance and fall over. So the most potent way to keep that balance is to actively work on yourself. Engage your mind, your body, your spirit, your community. Anchor yourself, affirm your goals, and talk to people. So when I talk about connecting and creating and inspiring people, it's not a thing that you do just when you're looking for work. It's not just a thing you do when when you want something. It's something that I want to encourage you to make a habit in your life. I want you to make it a habit to talk to yourself. I want you to make it a habit to talk about yourself. I want you to make it a habit to think about who you're hanging around with and spending your time with, and making it a habit to find those people, cultivate those people, and do things with them that will bring you closer to yourself and the world you want and the life you want. And you know, if you do that, you'll be great. The show's Hey Brandon. Well, in fact, hold on. So yeah, just do it. Get out there and find that connection so that, and I say this once in a while, one day it's not Hey Brandon, one day it's Hey you, and somebody's going to ask about your life, your opinions, and your feelings. And when that happens, I want you to have the strongest possible sense of yourself, who you are, what you've done in the past, what you can deliver, and like how to deliver it for other people. I wrote a book called The No Boss System, and it's free. It's on my website. Just go. And when you have the tools together, you've got a runway for not feeling anxious, not feeling stressed, and just sort of feeling like you can take on almost any rut. So I hope you enjoyed your time here. My name is Brandon Buchanan, all the way from Atlanta. A great story, I think. I look forward to interacting with you more. You can visit my website and fill out that survey, and you can talk about anything in life, your career, success, business, friends, family, and just say you're interested in it, and I'll talk about it more. I think that's it, y'all. Have a good one.